Want to make these super fast and easy copper rings in about 3 minutes? You can make them using a jig. Hello Livewires, Heather Boyd Wire here. Today I'm using some wire that we bought about 40 years ago at the hardware store to make these fast and easy rings using the Artistic Wire Deluxe Jig Kit. And without further ado, let's get wired. I'm using 18 gauge bare copper wire and 20 gauge tarnish resistant copper artistic wire. I have a rawhide mallet, a chasing hammer, and a steel block. My tools are the Beadalon Slimline Series chain nose and round nose pliers, their Glimmer Series nipper tool, my nylon jaw pliers, and my bail making pliers. And I'm using the Artistic Wire Deluxe Jig Kit. I'll start with about 10 inches of 18 gauge bare copper wire. I put the pegs on the jig in a diagonal configuration, and I'm going to start in the middle of the wire at one end and wrap the wire around the first peg, stretching out the wires as you go, and bring the wire up, and then the other wire down. So that's our first move, and then we're going to bring it up again. And then the top wire is going to go over that bottom wire and up. So we're going to continue in this fashion where we go down and up, stretching the wire as you go, giving it a little tug, making sure it goes between the pegs, and again down and up. You'll find the pegs are a little close together when they're on the diagonal, so the 18 gauge wire is a little tight in there. You'll see the curves are a little bit warbly. We're going to try it after this with 20 gauge wire to compare it. Press it with the nylon jaw pliers to flatten it out a little bit. It measures about 2.5 inches. This is the sample I did, so I didn't know how long to make it. I decided to add a couple of more loops. So we just bring it to the beginning of the jig and add a couple more loops. You can make a long one of these for a bracelet too if you wanted. So I got to 3 inches. I hammered it with the rawhide mallet. Be very careful not to hammer it too hard because with the overlapping wires it can snap. I went in with my chasing hammer just with little movements to flatten it out a little bit. Then I went around my stepped ring mandrel and realized I made it way too long. So we live and learn. We're going to pull it back a little bit because we have too many loops. It's going to depend on your ring size. Going to bring it back a little bit, and then we want to bend those wires up at a right angle. Clip them with the flush cutter to 1/8 to 1/4 inch. Squeeze the wires a little closer together so they're going to fit in that first loop. Just squeeze them together and put them through the first loop. So this ring won't be adjustable. You could finish off the ends and make it adjustable. With a thicker wire, it should hold its shape, and bend the ends down to secure them in place. And we'll want to pinch them in a little bit. We don't want any little scratchy ends. Use the chain nose pliers to bring in those little ends so they're flush, and squeeze them in a little bit. You can hammer it on your ring mandrel. Probably better to do this on a metal mandrel, but I don't have one. I should get one. See, they're a little bit warbly. We're going to try with the 20 gauge copper wire. It's going to be easier because it'll fit better between the pegs. We're going to go in the same manner, really tugging at those wires so there's no slack. Rotate the jig in the position that you're comfortable. Bring the wire up between the pegs, stretch it out, and bring the other one over, so down and up. Give it a good little tug. Next wire, down and up. This is much easier with the 20 gauge wire. This is the 20 gauge tarnish resistant wire from Artistic Wire. They have bare copper and the tarnish resistant copper, which has a coating on it to protect it. You can still hammer it with the coating, just go gently with it. Now we'll press it with the nylon jaw pliers to straighten it out. You'll see this one is much more even than with the 18 gauge wire. Give it a little hammer. You can use a plastic hammer if you prefer. A little bit with the chasing hammer to flatten it out a little bit. Just be very careful, especially at the end. You don't want those ends to snap. We're going to bring it around the ring mandrel. I love this step ring mandrel, especially for wider rings. It's a really great tool to have, so your ring bands will be even. We'll bend the wires up. I cut my wire too long this time. Better too long than too short. Give it a little clip with the flush cutters. These are the nipper tools from Beadalon. Put those ends right in there. Just wiggle them around till they go in. Back on the ring mandrel. Take your chain nose pliers and bend them around so they're flush. Just give them a little pinch, bring them around, pinch them in. You might have to clip them a little shorter if they're too long. And now you can go in again with the chain nose pliers to make sure they're flush. Kind of pinch and rotate back on the ring mandrel, and there's your beautiful ring with the 20 gauge wire. For the last ring, I set up 10 pegs horizontally on the jig. Don't forget the plugs on the back of the pegs to hold them in place. I am using 8 inches of 18 gauge copper wire. We're going to fold it at the halfway point, pull the wires and place it on the first peg. Make sure you really pull those wires apart, and we're going to hold down that first loop and start bringing the wire around the pegs. So we're going to go across and back, and then the next wire over, across and back. Hold the wires down and continue bringing the wire across and back, alternating to make sure the directions are correct. We're going to go across and back. You really want to tug those wires so there's no slack and so the loops will be a consistent size. Holding the wire around and back, and we're going to go all the way up to the top one. Bring the wires across again. They're going to crisscross, and we have 10 loops. Remove it from the jig. Take your round pliers and bend those wires up, straight up, so they are parallel. We don't want the last ones overlapping. Get your nylon jaw pliers to straighten it out. Put it on the steel block. Give it a little tap with the rawhide mallet, and then in with the chasing hammer, just to flatten out a little bit. Go gently with it. Put it on the ring mandrel around the size 7. Bring it right around. Remove it. Take your chain nose pliers and bend the wires up at a right angle right at the end there. Clip them to about 1/4 inch, maybe a smidge less. Put the ends in through the first loop. Grab the end with the chain nose pliers, bring it around to close that gap. Flip it around and do the other side. Just take the wire with the end of the chain nose pliers, bring it around. We want to make sure they're flush. Press the ends down so there's no pokey ends. Straighten them up as you need. Do any little adjustments. If the loop is too large, you can trim it with the flush cutters and bend it in again with the chain nose pliers. To finish it up, press the wires together. Do any little adjustments that you need. Make sure it's straight and flush. Back on the ring mandrel to round it out. And there's your beautiful, simple, fast ring made in 3 minutes. You can see the difference between the ring made with the 18 gauge wire with the pegs placed horizontally on the jig and the ring made with the 20 gauge wire where the pegs were placed diagonally on the jig. Thanks so much for watching the video. Be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for lots more wire art and jewelry making tutorials. Join the Wire Makers Club on Facebook to share pictures of your wire art and wire jewelry. Hop over to the Wire Lady TV channel every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where I troubleshoot new ideas for wire art and jewelry, and I welcome your ideas and special requests. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you the next time.